Hey, welcome to the Connect podcast. We're so excited today because this is actually our first time doing the podcast together.
I know.
And it's been too long. I'm sorry about that, but I'm excited to have you on because you've got incredible wisdom and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And so we should be blowing up the podcast.
So we're going to take it to a whole nother level today.
Yeah, let's just kind of talk about Sunday to begin with, because it was a great day. We kicked off a brand new series called Rooted Romance from Song of Solomon.
Yeah.
And we want you to join us in this conversation as we sort of extend what we talked about on Sunday. We want to invite you in to some parts of our story and our life, and you can learn from the real and the raw and the good and the mistakes that we've made. But as we talk about Sunday, one thing that was interesting was we had 1987 people in person.
987.
987 people.
Yeah, in attendance.
Yes. And that number is significant because that's actually the year that you and I met.
Yes.
And started our Rooted Romance.
What month was that?
Well, it was in October.
Yeah. So good. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. And so we'll talk. We want to take you back to that moment. But when I say 1,987 people in Buda, we also had 204 people in San Marcos.
So great.
So we're just excited about all the growth. And I just heard that 27 people have been baptized so far.
2026.
Yeah.
That's so great.
It was interesting after the sermon on Sunday that I had a lot of people come up and talk with me about the impact of what we talked about. One person was like, I started to stand up and say, you're telling the story of my life, because, a lot of people who have been married and then been divorced, they look at the mistakes that have been made along the way. And what we want you to know is that there's hope, and talking about what God says about marriage and relationships isn't intended to beat you down. We want to lift you up and set you on the right path as best as possible. This is not about perfection. It's about progress over perfection, right? I want to give a little bit of background before we get into our kind of counseling therapy session here about the Song of Solomon, because I didn't give a lot of background information on that on Sunday. But this book is actually better called Song of Songs, and what it translates from Hebrew is basically the best song, and it's poetry.
Best song. So
as you were saying, it's hard to understand if you as you read it. It's beautiful, but there's a lot of symbolic language, a lot of poetry in it.
You got to dig deep.
Yeah. And sometimes you look at a book like Song of Solomon, it's not really about God so much as it's about human relationships, a husband and a wife. It's about sexual intimacy. And you wonder, why is this in here? But God created us, and he created us for connection. He created us for intimacy with him and with each other. We say intimacy is into me. See, it's about vulnerability, authenticity, transparency. And our world would say that our world is so confused about sex in every way. On the one hand, they say it's all about sex. And then on the other hand, they say, well, sex is just nothing. It's just flippant and just meaningless. So I heard someone say once, when we look at our culture, if it's done right, then it could be nothing, or it could be everything. But if it's done wrong, if you're violated in some way, then it's the absolute worst thing. But there is a prescription that God gives and a description. Song of Solomon mirrors Genesis, kind of expands on Genesis and God's original plan for one man and one woman to come together to leave their parents of origin and to receive one another. And receiving is not a one-time act. Receiving is daily. We receive each other by choosing not to reject, but to accept, and then to cleave, which, is the picture of two becoming one. And so there's the Song of Solomon is about celebrating love and intimacy in marriage, and to understand, to recapture, reclaim marriage for God and reclaim sex. I have always said, Hugh Hefner didn't come up with the idea of sex, but God did. And I'll just go further on talking about sex because I know you love it when I talk about this. God could have caused us to procreate in any number of ways. He could have made us like amoebas to just subdivide, but instead he thought of this really neat way for men and women to come together, and made it good, made it pleasurable. So there's pleasure, there's procreation when it comes to. We're going to talk about this, I think, on a future episode. So, but also for protection, protecting each other's heart. I talked about that on Sunday. But in Song of Solomon, the man is referred to as lover, and the woman is referred to as darling. And you hear the passion that they have for each other. And you see in Song of Solomon that true love and attraction, physical attraction, go together.
Yeah, I like it that they have the pet names for each other. Yeah.
What do we have pet names for each
We
other?
don't really have pet names. Sadly, honey, sometimes.
Sweetheart,
Yes.
sweetie, Pammy, honey. I like honey. Pamela, the name Pamela means all honey. And so that's just how sweet you are. Like honey to the bee, sweeter, sweet.
You always like to throw in the song lyrics.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And so really it is a refreshing view of sexuality because, one message from the church, if the church has addressed, and when I speak of the church, I'm just talking about the landscape of Christianity across the recent decades, has been, you might have grown up and you heard sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad. And we tell particularly girls, I mean, it should be guys and girls, but you say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't, no, 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 no. And then you get married, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to flip a switch and say, go, 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 go. And sometimes that's a hard switch.
Yeah, it can be a hard switch. And sometimes people come out against, I guess, what we would call purity culture.
Yeah, it bugs me so much.
Yes.
It's just so crazy. Like, we've titled this thing Purity Culture, which means that we're teaching biblical principles about sexuality, about sex, and dating, and all of these things. And now we've called it purity culture and labeled it as bad. I certainly don't think of it as purity culture. I think of it as God's best for your for your relationship.
And we I'm sure we're going to talk about that because we were a part of that generation, and we actually were able to have some standards that made our life better.
Mind blowing.
Yes.
Mind blowing.
Yes.
So we're digging into Song of Solomon to find principles of what it takes to have a God-honoring, fulfilling, satisfying, lasting, close relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And we started it by talking about attraction. Attraction is necessary. Nobody's ever gotten together with someone, I guess if it's an arranged situation or whatever, but chosen to get into a relationship with someone and without attraction. So God wired us that way to be attracted to certain features of the opposite sex. But attraction will not sustain and maintain and grow a marriage because the attraction fades. And some of the things, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, some of the things that attracted us to one another over the years are not there anymore.
Right.
We can talk about that.
We grow older, we change, things look different.
So we want to pull back the curtain and get honest about how this has all played out in our story. So let's talk about how we met. I told my version of the story in the sermon on Sundays. Do you want to?
Yeah, by the way, if you missed the sermon on Sunday, you can go back and check that out, which, you probably should, since we're referring to that, but you're still going to get a whole lot out of this as we talk through all of this. But I think your version was pretty good. Cole was in a Christian rock band. I think you left that Christian part, right? So that was a little confusing, but Cole was in a Christian rock band when he was in high school, specifically, I think mostly when you were a senior in high school. And that's kind of when our story picks up. You were a senior in high school. I was a junior in high school. And so we were very young, but your band came and played at my church. And we didn't just connect as you were singing. We actually said hello to each other in the parking lot. I don't know if you remember that, but so I kind of spotted you even in the parking lot. And I thought, I don't know that guy, but I'd like to maybe know that guy. And then somehow, I don't know if I positioned myself to sit behind you during the actual worship service, or if that just kind of worked out. But I remember sitting behind you in church. So we were church kids, both of us, which is ideal. And then, of course, then there was the concert after church. And yes, I pretty much decided that I needed to know you better. Just, you fit a lot of the check marks that I already had given myself for someone that I would want to date. And so then, yes, I found a way to make myself known to you, and I chased after you a little bit, but it all worked out in the end. So
it sure did.
Yes,
it sure did. So I remember seeing you, and as I described you, you had the big blonde hair.
It was 1987.
Chick.
Mm.
And
yes.
So I remember that. What is it that you first noticed about me?
You had great hair. So I'm sorry to say that you did have great hair, which
kind of a mullet situation,
it was a mullet. And I thought that was hair then was kind of really important. It was something on my checklist that when you have good hair, that was awesome. You also had this really squared jaw and a very pronounced Adam's apple. So the way you looked, and you were, tall, and you were in a rock band, and that music has always the language of my soul, and so that spoke to me a lot. And then I found out that you were actually a youth leader. You were leading your own peers in Bible study in the mornings. I mean, there were just all of these things that unearthed themselves about you that just, again, fit who I was dreaming of in my mind that I would be with. So,
yes. And I remember hearing you sing and just going, the voice of an angel. So good. So nice. But yes, I think our love for Jesus
sure
drew us together.
Top of my list.
And so it was some of those simple things. I thought we would talk about our first dates. There's two dates that we kind of confuse, I think, about which was really our first date. But somebody might care about that. One of them was sort of a group date with your family and your friend. I think Kim might have gone along, your brother.
We did a lot of group dating, up front. I feel like that was mostly what we did. We weren't just really out there solo dating very much. We were hanging out with people, which I think is important when you're getting to know someone. Group dating is the safest for sure.
So we went to the State Fair of Texas.
Yes.
Up in Dallas, that was something we did every year.
Yeah,
Right?
which is where we're
State
from.
Fair.
Yeah.
And so we went to the fair, and that was a good time. And then the other first date that I think of, I guess maybe when we went alone, was when we went to see Rich Mullins together.
Oh, yeah.
At Footloose. And so
that was fun.
That was fun. And I yelled out a song request,
Yes.
and she got to know that side of me. Impulsive.
Yes.
So
just be yourself right up front.
And here's where the honesty comes in, like the real and the raw. Was there anything about me that you had some warning signs about, like some red flags? The red flags.
Well, I think the things that were different about you and your life that were different from mine. Mostly, I think, being the fact that your parents were divorced. And my parents were not divorced. My parents were married 65 years until my mom passed away recently. And so that gave me hesitation because I didn't really know how to deal with a situation like that because I hadn't been a part of anything like that. So that sort of gave me some reservation, like, what is this about, and how do I handle that, and how is that going to work itself out in our relationship? I think maybe the fact that and this is nothing I've ever been able to change. So again, you can't change a person, but just about how driven you were. Like you were always, even from that point in your life, so driven. You had goals. You were set on, this is the plan for my life. This is what I'm going to do. And you didn't know exactly how you were going to accomplish all that, but you just knew from the start, this is where I'm headed. This is where I'm going. And to me, that was a little scary because I didn't have those plans for my life. I had no really idea what I was going to do with my life which I think most high school kids don't really have that plan, but you did early on have that plan. So that was scary to me.
And you were in doing cosmetology for your junior and senior year. Did you do it in your freshman, sophomore, or is it?
It was a 2-year program. Yes, I did. I took a cosmetology program, half a day, for 2 years because I was very interested in that and thought maybe that would be a part of my life. I had some other dreams too, but that was offered for free at our high school. And so it was, sure, I wanted to be a singer as well. I had some thoughts about what would be fun. Who doesn't, but yeah.
You also, when you were in,
I was in middle school. I was probably 7th or 8th grade girl. And yeah, I was just at a camp and I really clearly felt God's call on my life. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if it meant I was going to actually be a missionary, go to the mission field and serve in that way, or if I was going to do ministry just in my local church, or I had no idea. I just knew that God said, I'm going to use you in a special way. And so
you were definitely a missionary.
I was definitely a missionary.
Now.
Oh, now. Yes.
Yeah, continued throughout your life.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of to bring it back to Sunday.
Yeah.
We said attraction is rooted in reputation and in character.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you didn't say it, but you loved the hair.
Yeah.
And about the time we got married, the hair started.
Yeah. Yeah. We dated for 4 years before we got married. And then I don't know if it was just me that did it to you or the stress of getting married, or it was just the timing.
Genetics,
but
there may have been some other things.
Yeah.
Diet or who knows.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, this is just some advice for girls, I suppose. If when you're dating a guy, you want to look and ask, how does he treat his mom?
Oh, yeah. And I never thought of that when we were dating, but
that's how he's going to treat you.
Yeah.
So,
and mostly
you look at the family and that dynamic.
Mostly Cole loves his mama. I wouldn't call him a mama's boy, but he has always tried to take care of his mom, and yeah. So yeah, that's been good.
Yeah. So we talk about character, uh, because culture, I mean, it's so prominent right now, basically, and it's so uh, toxic on the dating apps. And you're looking, you set the parameters of, I want somebody who is this tall, makes this much money, looks like this, and it's all superficial. You can't look at character, right? You're looking at their appearance.
Yeah.
And what do I think this person looks like?
Yeah.
So it creates some challenges, I think, for us today. Man, if we could get, I don't think there's any going back to, you know, the past, but getting involved in real community can certainly help when you get around people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why it was an easy yes hanging out with you and getting to know you, is because we met at church, and felt like that's the right first step, is someone who was actually attending church and engaged in a relationship with God. So getting to know someone in that way is the best.
Let's talk about this. When we were dating or going, we used to, in the 80s, well, let's go back to the 50s. In the 50s, you were going steady. You would go steady.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to the 80s, we were cooler than that. And so we would just go together.
We're going together.
The guys would ask the girls, they would say, will you go with me? People would say, that were laughing at us, would say, where are you going?
Sure.
Going where? We're going together. And then
wherever you're going, I'm going.
That has evolved to today. I think they say, we're talking. We're just talking.
Yeah, that might not even be true anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but there was a definite, there was that, and we were friends, and we didn't do anything like super, I don't know if you call it crazy or great, because I would admire anybody who just does the thing where they say, hey, we're not going to have any physical interaction until we get married or whatever. We didn't do it that way, but
it was a very long time.
We waited before our first kiss. It wasn't immediate. It was after our relationship started growing.
Yeah. And I thought that at first, I thought, this is kind of weird, and what does this mean? And I remember asking you, even a few times, like, what's happening here? What are we? And you would just say, oh, we're friends. We're getting to know each other. We don't have to hold hands, or we don't have to kiss to have a relationship with each other.
And even saying, I love you.
Oh, yeah.
Is something that I took very seriously.
Yeah.
Because we love lots of things, and we toss that around, and I don't know if this is still as true today, but then I love you would be, maybe you would write it on a card that you would give to somebody and say, do you want to go with me? I love you. I just held off on that for a little while.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it meant something more than just words.
Right. I wanted to just mention on Sunday, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you said it every time, but I just thought it was so good when we're talking about the character and the chemistry and all that. And at one point you said character is the soil where attraction grows.
Yeah.
And I think that's so, so true. Because again, that initial spark and that initial attraction can only take you so far. If it's not rooted in something more than that, a person's character, then it's not going to really take root and grow between you.
And
it's going to be very shallow, and there's not going to be much substance to it. So
yeah. And so then what happens when you start crossing all these boundaries, and you've already shown your character at that point, and you've shown, hey, I don't have a lot of self-control. Hey,
right.
I'm in this for me. And then it's really hard to build something with deep roots.
Yeah.
At that point, or that passion that will burn fast, but burn away.
Yeah.
Quickly. So why did boundaries matter to you?
Well, I think that you and I both understood, even at that young age, because we were so young, we were really dating to us was really practicing for marriage. Like we were preparing for marriage. I mean, we took it pretty seriously and we wouldn't date somebody. Like I didn't feel like, I don't think we really talked about this, but I think I'm speaking for both of us that we wouldn't have dated someone that we couldn't have seen ourselves with long term.
I did one I'm thinking of that I knew I shouldn't be dating, and I was like, but she was really pretty, and I thought this person is not really a Christian, but she's attractive, and she seems to like me, and I couldn't really maintain that, I couldn't stay in that relationship, but I definitely gave it a shot.
Okay, but at this point, I was like talking about you and I. Yeah. Like I was thinking that about you. I'm pretty sure you were thinking that about me. Yeah. Like I could see myself long term with this person, and so I think that led to setting up some of those boundaries for us.
I don't know if you want to go here. I'm sure you don't, but you had a there was a guy before me.
We all had befores.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no. But that was one of those things I think similar where you were like, I really like this guy, but
well, he was kind of tricky.
Could I see myself?
Well, I could have seen myself with him. Like he was kind of tricky because he was this guy that really presented as
both sides
a good Christian, but then unbeknownst to me, or just I had blinders on, he would go out on Friday nights and like go to the parties and all those things. And so, but again, I thought, okay, well, I'm sure I can fix him. I can change him.
There, because once you get into the relationship, you really start making excuses and rationalizing.
Right.
And, trying to say, oh, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then as things move forward, people get into serious issues.
Right. So by the grace of God, he broke up with me in the summer before my junior year. And that was, I was completely devastated and heartbroken. He was really, someone that was popular at school. And again, that played into it. Like I felt like I was somebody when I was with him. But I'm so happy that was the outcome, because if I had continued in that relationship, I don't think I would be the person that I am today. And I don't think I would have allowed space for God to use me in the way that he has. And so that was totally the Holy Spirit at work.
Well, that's true for both of us. Neither of us would be who we are without the other.
Yes, I think that's true.
And so we know that's been a God thing. So when we were dating, do we want to talk about what made waiting hard or setting boundaries?
Well, we liked each other. Mm-hmm. We were attracted to each other, mm-hmm. and we were young, and I think hormones play a part, in that. All of it plays a part. So when we did finally decide, we were going to hold hands or we were going to kiss each other, then, it did make having those boundaries hard. And we were totally sold out to Jesus, both of us.
In dating, you would think it's almost counterintuitive, but the times that were hardest for us to keep our boundaries were like after big spiritual days, victories. We spent the day at the church on Sunday, and we were ministering and teaching and doing different things. And then we come home on Sunday night, and, I would come over, and those were the hardest times to set those boundaries after the spiritual victories.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the enemy.
Yeah. Trying to steal the victory.
Yes.
That's right. Well, what would you say to somebody who feels that pressure to rush to maybe to young women?
to rush into having intimacy,
Physical,
I would just say that it's not worth it to give yourself up in that way before you're married. And there will be deep regrets. I mean, what if the relationship doesn't really work out?
If you don't do what he wants, then
he's not the one.
relationship's not going to work out.
He's not the one for you. And I think you even said on Sunday that whoever has the most boundaries or the biggest boundaries or the standards gets to set that standard.
And you know where I got that line from?
I think from our daughter.
Yeah, Mackenzie said that to me when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. And so if he really does care about you and he has a long-term vision or plan for your relationship, then you're going to be able to talk about those things and you're going to be able to work through that. And yes, it does take a little bit of maturity. And we were very young. And so I think it was a little bit harder for us to maybe have that sense of maturity. But we had already decided before we even started dating that that was going to be the standard that we had for our life, whether I was with you or someone else. I had already decided I was not going to have sex before I got married. And I think you had decided that as well. And so we individually had those standards for our life. And so that made it going into our relationship.
Yeah, if I hadn't decided that, like, I wouldn't have made it through through high school, having kept that commitment. And who knows, it wasn't the things that were being said to me, except for at church.
Yes, your youth pastor was leading you in that way.
Yeah.
And so, and again, we were a part of that purity culture where that was True Love Waits, and all of that was something that was.
We never had the purity rings yet. They hadn't come up with that yet.
No, no, but that was something that they were talking about. And, you know, I feel like that was our desire, our heart's desire.
So a lot of people, you know, while we're talking about singles, people will, you know, the question that people ask a lot of times is they'll say, how far is too far? And what they want to know is, how, you know, they're asking the question, how close can I get to the edge? How close can I get to the line before I fall over the edge? And if you're standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, I know you have a fear of heights. You're not thinking, how close can I get before I fall off? You're thinking, how far away from the ledge can I stand so that I won't? Because then it just takes one little nudge to push you over.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult when you're talking about moments like this, when you just start out kissing each other and then one thing leads to another, and you can get very close to the edge very quickly if you aren't engaging your mind. If you're just engaging your feelings, then you're going to end up in the wrong place every single time.
So here's one rule we would say is keep all 4 feet on the floor.
Yes.
All 4 feet on the floor. That would help.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Other people would say leave room for Jesus.
Yeah. Make room for the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. So that means don't sit as close as you want to sit to each other all the time in those dating moments. And if you're struggling in that area, then I would say don't be alone with that person. You know, there have to be some rules of engagement here, you know, where you say, okay, we went out and we're not going to sit in the car for an extended period of time with each other. We're not going to go in the house and be in a place alone with each other. We're going to have some personal boundaries with each other to make sure that we can get to the place that we really want to get to.
And we would also say the dating period can be a long time that you take to get to know each other.
Sure.
But the engagement should be short.
Yes, it's crazy.
Once you decide you're going to get married, Let's do it. Let's go through the premarital counseling process and then get married.
Yes, it's crazy. We hear people who have years and years of engagement, and it's like,
that makes it so hard.
Yeah.
You cross all the.
And if you've made that decision and that is your person and you feel certain and sure about that, then you need to just go through with the process. Yeah.
Let's talk about insecurity and encouragement and words. So what would you say need?
Well, I think most women are insecure. Girls, women are insecure. I mean, we somehow grow up comparing ourselves to someone. I mean, we could start with Barbie, right? The Barbie doll, and comparing ourselves to that. That's the standard for beauty. And then other people that were around, other girls. I just remember constantly always comparing myself to some other girl, whether it was on my volleyball team or just a girl in my class or even my friends, and just saying, I don't measure up. And so we're insecure mostly.
I was never that attracted to Barbie. Your waist is like that, like a.
Yes, but that is culturally, that's what everyone says is the way you should look. That's the standard. And I never had that shape. Never, ever had that shape. And so I was always very insecure.
And I think men are also have insecurities as well.
Sure.
But I think it's maybe a bigger deal for women.
Yes. Yes.
But we all need massive doses of encouragement.
Yes. And I think that's what combats that insecurity, is when you have someone who is encouraging you to be better, to go further, and not just look at yourself in a superficial way.
Think about you telling me one time you said, oh, I know you're going to get your doctorate because that's just you. And I don't even know if I'd considered getting a doctorate.
Huh.
And, just hearing you say that, put that in my head.
I just assumed that's what you would do.
That's who I am.
Because you just had always push the envelope. You were always going for that next thing to check off the list. So,
well, people grow towards the words that are spoken over them.
Yeah.
Speaking life, speaking identity. And I think men need to speak identity into their wives.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to go to college really, because literally no one in my family had gone to college and graduated from college.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation. I said, of course you're going to college.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to college.
Yeah, there was some extra motivation there.
My family wasn't pushing me to go to college.
I know. But that's what I'm saying. You just were naturally motivated to do those things in your life. And I was not like that. No one had ever encouraged me to go to college. And I think that's one reason that I took those cosmetology classes in high school, because I thought, well, that's a good shot at me having some kind of career in something that I might be interested in. And then when we started dating and you said that, oh, you're going to go to college, then I thought, well, maybe I am going to go to college and maybe I can do that. And so
you definitely could do it.
I did it.
Yes.
I did it.
You excelled at college. Not
I did okay.
Academics, but that you're doing a lot of other things using your gifts and talents. And well, the dead flies that we talked about from Ecclesiastes 10:1 that get in the ointment, that stink up, your character. This is those small compromises that we make. And so why do you think small compromises can be more dangerous than the big ones?
Well, I think when we're making those small compromises, we don't even really think about it. It doesn't really register with us. And they're just little things that add up over time that amount to something big.
Yeah, we say nobody wakes up and says, today I'm just going to destroy my life.
Yeah.
I'll go out and, rob a convenience store.
Right.
Or, that kind of thing. You've started or have an affair. I'll blow up my marriage. And affairs, they don't just happen.
Right.
They happen because you've crossed those little lines up front and you're building towards something.
Right. It's little compromises along the way. Having a conversation with someone of the opposite sex, starting a friendship with someone of the opposite sex at work and having conversations with them, texting them. Things that you think, oh, these things are harmless, but it's little compromise after little compromise that creates distrust, maybe in your relationship with your spouse, or that then they build up over time. And it does lead to that. I'm blowing up my marriage now.
Yeah. And so your spouse needs to have access to your phone, right?
Yes.
So that you're not hiding the messages and things like that. Oh, I was going to say, don't have those conversations with someone of the opposite sex where you're talking about your problems in your marriage.
Right.
My wife never does this, or my husband, he acts
Right.
like this. And then you're getting counsel from someone.
Yeah. I would never even think about talking to another man about our problems. Now, there are moments I talk to my mom, or maybe even.
Well, I say we shouldn't do that either. Actually,
yes, we shouldn't.
Is what leaving your parents. That doesn't mean you don't honor your parents. But
yes.
What happens is if you tell something terrible about your husband to your mom, you may end up forgiving. You may end up getting over that. But
yes.
Mom's going to hold on to it.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
In this case, with your mom was probably like, well, Cole's awesome.
Yes, my mom loved you probably more than she loved me. So, yes. And she was able to give me some good counsel instead of blaming you for what I thought our problems were. So that worked out okay for me, but probably not for everyone. But yes. And we actually, we have some rules for the opposite sex. Like, we don't ride alone in the car with someone of the opposite sex. If we're going to a meeting or whatever, you're not just going to ride with another lady from the office by yourself.
Say don't go out to eat with someone of the opposite
right.
sex. Right.
Yeah. And because women are insecure, usually they can start thinking, oh, what is it about that person that, he likes, or that engages him that he doesn't get from me. And so it can just start you down a road that you really don't want to go down.
What will you say to someone who's ignoring the character issues because, everything else seems good?
I don't know how you can ignore the character issues. I mean, the character, like we said, is that's the soil where everything good grows from. And if a person doesn't have good character, then they really have very little, because like we said, your appearance changes and your marriage is going to go through, I think you're going to talk about this week, but your marriage goes through different seasons. Yes. And so it's that character that a person has that is going to help get through those hard seasons that you're going to go through in marriage. It's not their good hairdo or their, physique or anything like that. And so character really is the stuff. It's a person has to have good character.
Well, ultimately, we're all looking for security, we said.
Yes.
And that is ultimately going to be found in Jesus.
Yes. And so having said that, we're talking like we're super experts at marriage and like we have done everything right from the very beginning. But you and I know that is the furthest thing from the truth, that if we did not have a relationship with Jesus apart from one another, that we would not still be married. Because there are a lot of things that we have a shared mission with, but our personalities are different. The way we view the world sometimes is different. The way that we respond to things is very different. We're very different people. So if we did not have that underlying common bond of totally being sold out to Jesus, then we would probably be a statistic today.
And a marriage needs to have a shared mission.
Yes.
The Bible says without vision, the people perish.
Yes.
And you need to have a vision for your marriage. What is the vision? What is the purpose? And one of the purposes is to reflect Jesus and to share his message and his hope and truth with the world.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be at the center of your relationship, and not just some person who, they go to church sometimes, or they say they're a Christian, but they love Jesus, and that's
right.
first. But we want you to know, if you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling lonely, that God sees you. He knows your situation. He knows your marriage or your lack of intimacy. He knows all of that, and he is enough. He is enough. Some people feel like I'm just not complete unless I have another person, and another person is a poor substitute for God in your life.
Yeah.
And when you have him, you do have enough, but then he can help you with the other parts, the relationship part.
Right. Finding a spouse or partner, a spouse in life is one of the greatest things, but your spouse cannot be God for you. And so there is no substitute for that relationship with God. And that should be the thing that comes first.
Yeah, and don't take shortcuts just because you want to be married, or just because there's the pressure of your parents or pressure of the world or expectation that, I should be married. This all happens in God's timing, and he's got something for you, but you trust him. And no matter what the time is, and don't take it in your own hands. Like, yes, you can do specific things to move that process along, but
we're not saying just hang out in your prayer closet and pray.
Yeah.
You have to be around people in the right setting, right? Like, where's a good place to meet the kind of spouse that you want to meet?
Not at Mavericks,
right? We're not hanging out at a bar really to find our good godly spouse. Not that there aren't Christians there, but we want to get to places where we know that those people hang out, and people who really have a good, solid relationship with the Lord.
Yeah. So whether you're single, God still has a good plan, and roots can still grow as you build wisely. It starts by building and becoming. That's something I usually share in my first marriage sermon, is that you need to be the one before you find the one, and
That's
you need
right.
to make him the one.
Yeah.
Make him your number one in your life. So
we know that dating is hard, and somehow in God's grace and mercy, we found each other early on in our life. And so I am grateful for that. I know dating looks so much different today than it did in 1987. And we actually are walking through this with our own children and helping them navigate that. And neither one of them have found the one, although we are taking applications if you think you might be the one. But it's because they have standards and they have boundaries, and they're looking for the one that God has for them, so that they can go the distance and honor God with their whole life. And so we're trusting that God has a plan for them. We're trusting that God has a plan for you. And even if you've started down this road and you've made some mistakes and things seem to not be going the way that you thought they would, we believe that God is a God of restoration, that he wants to restore the relationship that is broken. And far too many times we're ready to just throw it away and give up and move on. And there are reasons to do that. We're not saying there aren't, but there's also a reason to work hard at letting God repair and restore what has been broken. And so we want to encourage you to stay on the path and let God work in your life in these areas.
Yeah. And don't go through it alone. You
right.
need people.
That's right.
Whether things are great, you're struggling right now, you need people. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And this has been incredible. And we look forward to seeing you really soon. Have a blessed week.